I am the first to say that Shyamalan is the Shyama man, but even he can overegg the crazy plot twists at the best of times. Whether it's revealing a whole village of people to be living old-timey in the woods, or that water can be utilised as killer alien juice. Taking a sharp left turn in a movie can be the undoing of it, as these films quickly learned. Thankfully, however, these writers and directors realised just in time that, like a particularly visceral bout of food poisoning, a plot twist that takes you by surprise doesn't make it a good thing. More often than not, it just means they're full of shit. With that in mind, I'm Ash from What Culture, and these are 8 abandoned plot twists that almost ruined famous movies. 8. Groundhog Day. Rita awakens to find she's trapped in her own Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day ends happily with a time loop-trapped Phil finally breaking free and waking up next to Rita. The pair both well and truly in love, and Phil having finally learned to appreciate his existence. At least someone can. But that wasn't how things were originally supposed to end. Nope, originally the script called for a horrific plot twist which would have cemented Groundhog Day as the ultimate troll movie, in which Rita, the endlessly kind, gentle and intelligent female lead who did nothing wrong, wakes up and realises that it's her turn to spend an eternity learning to play piano and make ice sculptures. Maybe getting with Phil is the mistake she's never supposed to make? Who knows what they were thinking. 7. Good Will Hunting. Chucky is crushed to death in a horrible construction accident. Good Will Hunting is generally regarded to be a pretty awesome movie if you ignore all the boring bits, and that's partly thanks to Gus Van Sant's amicable direction. And yet, Gus Van Sant also very nearly ruined the movie with his meddling. That's to say, during the writing and development stages, the director insisted that, for absolutely no reason, Ben Affleck's character Chucky should end up getting killed in a freak and very unexpected accident at the construction site where he works. It would have been terrible, of course, because there is literally no reason for Chucky to die. Not only would such a death have distracted from the most important part of the story, which is developing Genius Will's character and finding his purpose in life, but it would have added an unnecessarily schmaltzy layer that might have rendered the film way too sentimental. Not to mention just a bit depressing. 6. Interstellar. The Chinese got there first. In Interstellar, you'll remember that Cooper investigates planets because Earth is mega dusty and gross. In the first draft of the movie in 2008, however, Jonathan Nolan decided a mid-film plot twist would have seen Cooper and his companions landing on a planet only to find out that Chinese astronauts had already arrived 50 years earlier. Though all the Chinese astronauts have since been killed by radiation poisoning, it's then that Cooper discovers a secret underworld complete with a secure base that, wait for it, the surviving robots have built for humans to inhabit. It then turns out that the robots have been programmed to defend the base at all costs, so a large portion of the script is dedicated to Cooper fighting off landscaping robots in an attempt to escape. Wait, why was this pied off for the sake of a haunted bookshelf? 5. In Bruges. Ray survives, then commits suicide. In Bruges follows hitmen Ray and Ken hiding out, you guessed it, in Bruges. The reason for this is that Ray's feeling immensely guilty having accidentally killed a little boy during a botched job. Ken reveals that he was instructed by their boss to kill Ray for his incompetence, but refuses. As a result, Ken is actually the one to eat a lead sandwich for disobeying orders, and Ray gets a hot load of bullets too. In the original script, the director included a further twist that saw Ray back in London recovering from his injuries. Love interest Chloe calls him up only for Ray to tell her to hang up the phone for her own good. She asks why, to which Ray replies, "I don't want you to hear the gunshot." Ray hangs up himself at this point, puts a pistol to his head, and cut to black. Thankfully, McDonough reconsidered and decided to stick with the more vague scene in which Ray bleeds to death in the square and really hopes that he doesn't die. 4. Birdman. Is that Johnny Depp? Birdman is a great, weird movie following an actor trying to reinvigorate his career with a stage play. The original plan was to have its ending drift back to the theatre that sees most of the action. Back into the dressing room, only to reveal Johnny Depp putting on a wig similar to the one Regan wore whilst on stage, surrounded by a bunch of Pirates of the Caribbean posters, only for him to say, in Jack Sparrow's voice mind you, "What the f*** are we doing here, mate?" The point? Well, they wanted to imply an endless loop. Another actor made famous through playing the same character over and over again, attempting to make amends and gain some credibility through the act of theatre. This would have been a funny twist, of course, but it would have also cheapened the film somewhat. Also, Disney didn't allow it. Killjoys. 3. Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Darth Vader apologises unexpectedly over an awkward drunken dinner. In the first draft of The Empire Strikes Back, the script calls for the ultimate twist. One more expected than Vader turning out to be Luke's dad. Yes, Vader sits down to a meal with Han, Leia and Chewie, sort of apologises to Leia for being a dick on the Death Star, whilst Han watches on and glugs down glasses of wine. It's probably a good thing that the script was rewritten to feature an antagonist who was actually scary, and not one that, preferred to host dinner parties and make amends. After witnessing Darth Vader's cruelty in the original movie, it would have been super out of place to witness a sudden plot twist that saw him acting so casual. Anything for a scone though. Pass the tea, Darth. 2. Alien. The alien bites Ripley's head off and imitates her voice. One of the inherently great things about Alien, which is the tale of a spacecraft invaded by, an alien, happens to be that it features a female lead who faces a mighty challenge and overcomes the odds, as well as the cool xenomorph stuff and killer robots and a space cat. But it very nearly destroyed Ripley's badass heroism with one foul swoop, killing her off for literally no reason at all. And not just killed though. The plan was for the alien to bite her head off in the escape to the shuttle and then, in the weirdest plot twist ever known to man, sit down in a chair and record a message on the log whilst imitating her voice perfectly. Which is unfortunate, I guess. This ability actually wouldn't have been mentioned beforehand also. Shock factor intended. It was supposed to be crazy and completely out of nowhere. A plot twist nobody could have ever seen coming. Well, that's one thing they got right. 1. Legend. It was all a dream. There is arguably no worse of a plot twist than it was all a dream. Not only does this type of ending cement a film as entirely pointless, it almost never ever enhances the story. The normal version of fantasy extravaganza Legend culminates with Tom Cruise recovering a ring and using it to revive the princess after she's knocked out by darkness. And the two go off into the sunset and it's happily ever after. An unused ending, however, one which was actually filmed, throws in the most arbitrary plot twist imaginable. It was all a dream. Scott shot this ending, which was the lovers going their separate ways, complete with implied wake-up sequence for Jack. What really would have been the point in that? Now viewers, you can open your eyes as this video was actually all in your mind. It was a dream all along!